Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Rick Lee Poo, and welcome to day 361 of a year of change. When I know that we're sort of coming up on the end of things, and I'm trying to wrap everything up, but I wanted to sort of come back and bring this up again. Um, when we first started doing this, although the weight loss was a big part of it, we know that's sort of the focus of everything, that we want to lose weight, we want to get healthier, and, but really we want to get rid of the fat. We want to weigh less than we did. One of the main things that we tried to focus on was food, and to a point where we had our regular snack alternative things that we were doing for a while. We've looked at salt and sugar and fat, and trying to learn as much as we can about it. But really, when it came down to it, one of the main things that we wanted to do was to fundamentally change how we reacted to food, how we thought of it, how we responded to it, just to basically change the impact that it had on our lives. And I think we've done that for the most part. We certainly aren't where we need to be. I've said that before many, many times, that I don't think it's ever going to be something that we're just going to be able to get rid of entirely and be able to eat like a normal person. It's just we've spent too much time just eating bad food and having bad eating habits and everything else for us to be able to just to sort of switch it off and say, good enough, I can now eat like a normal human being. Subconsciously. We can still do that. We've been doing that for the better part of a year, but it's a very conscious effort that we need to put forward to do it. I guess the best way to sort of equate it, though, is because we are better at handling it, is we've all done this at some point, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter or Hanukkah or Valentine. Pick a holiday, doesn't matter what. When you get together and you have all your food and you've eaten just absolutely everything that's out there. There's just simply nothing left. You've picked the carcass clean. You've emptied out the salad bar. You've gone through the dessert tray. Everything is gone to a point where you're just so stuffed that all you want to do is hibernate. Even in the middle of summer, it still happens. Where I can't eat another bite. I simply can't. And then inevitably someone brings out more pie. And you go, I still want that. We've all been there where you're thinking, if I go and I poop now, in half an hour I might have room for pie, and you try to sort of wheel and deal that and try to figure out the logistics of it. But eventually you just go, no, you know what? I'm not going to have any. I'll maybe have some later, but right now I can't because it'll be bad for everyone, because it's just everything will come out. I don't know which end, but it's going to come out if I eat that. We still have those cravings. We're still going to get to that point where we're just like, oh, I really, really, really want it. But we can do that on an empty stomach now. It doesn't have to be forced upon us. It's still difficult, but it's not a matter of us simply not having control anymore. Before it really was, food always had such a strong stranglehold on us that if we saw someone bring something out, it's like, I'm gonna eat all of it. I don't care. I'm going to eat as much of it as I possibly can. And we've tried in the past to just say, no, I'm gonna have one cookie. That'll be it. No one can have just one cookie. Even normal people just don't have one cookie. That's stupid. But we tell ourselves we can do this, so we go after it and we have one cookie. And then, of course, just keep eating it over and over and over again. Not the same cookies. That would be gross. But, other cookies. But now, I think that we do have, it's obviously not going to be something where we're like, oh, no, I had one, I'm fine. And everything is great. But we can have one cookie. And it's going to be a hell of a battle, but we can choose to not have a second cookie. We've been able to adapt that way. And it's taken us a very, very long time to get there. Some of the old eating habits are still there. For me, mine was always a matter of the volume of food. The type of food obviously was very bad as well. They're sort of going through this because we did the math, if you remember, and I was eating anywhere between 12 and 13,000 calories a day. Now that is just regular meals. It's not including snacks and cookies and treats and cakes and all the other little things that we don't really include when we're counting what we're trying to eat, when we're counting calories and stuff. But just regular meals, like if I was to say breakfast, lunch, dinner, there we go. That's what I'm having. It was still 12 or 13,000 calories a day, and you have to non-stop eat very high fat, high calorie foods in order to do that. And one of the things that was always in my house was cheese. And we buy them here They're basically 1 pound blocks of cheese. They're like 500 grams. Same size that you would normally get anywhere. But when I would buy them, I'd buy 4 or 5 of them, and could easily go through one of those in a day. And not just cheese. Like I wouldn't just sit and eat cheese. That would be excessive. That's just yeah. But it would go on everything during the run of a day. I would, this is on top of things like pizza or nachos or hamburgers or anything. Whatever I would put it on, and going through a pound of cheese in a day was not a big deal. And I mean, we've all gotten to that point, I'm sure. Well, some of us have. Some of you may not understand. You're going, Jesus, a pound of cheese? Like, yes, an entire pound. And sometimes more than that. Like where I would go, I would shred everything, and then by the end of the day, the entire thing is gone. I've gone through at least 1.5 blocks, so 1.5 pounds of cheese. When you put it like that, it sounds really disgusting. But at the time, I didn't care. But that's on top of all the other food that I was eating. So, and every single meal was just a matter of just, filling myself to capacity. And then as soon as I was not full, as soon as I was not sick and full, then I would eat some more. And it was always the same stuff. It was never a matter of going, oh man, I really want another garden salad. Of course not. I mean, I did have that benefit that I still enjoyed salads and like what people would classify it, what we used to say was health food, which is just normal food. I was never really picky, so it wasn't a matter of going, I can't have broccoli. It's disgusting. So that was, but overall, it was the volume of food that I was eating. And every now and then that will still happen. But there are some differences that still make it better. Not by a lot, not making excuses here, but last night when I got home, I was starving all day. Very, very, very hungry. Wanted something when I got home. So, of course, you sort of grab little snacks here and there and things like that. But for my meal, I've got this. It's a cereal bowl, but I've never used it for cereal. And it's a fairly big bowl. It's like this. I realize you have no frame of reference unless I'm actual size, and you have no idea. I'm 5'9", if that helps. So it's a big cereal bowl, probably 5 or 6 inches across, and like 3 inches deep. So 3 or 4 inches deep. So it's a big, big cereal bowl. And last night when I got home, made my supper, and it was like, to give you an idea actually how big it is. If any of you have tried instant noodles, 2 packs will fit in that, and it will be heaping, like a heaping bowl. But it takes 2 packs of noodles to fill that up after they're cooked, obviously. Because if they aren't cooked, you just crumble them into powder and throw them in, and they taste like shit. And then you need a spoon instead of a fork. Anyway, so I'll give you roughly an idea as to how much food this can hold. It holds a tremendous amount of food. So I came home last night, made supper, and it was filled. It was heaping once again. And that's what I had, to a point where it was too much. It was way too much. To a point where that old feeling of I've eaten so much, I just want to go have a nap came over me. Which is not great. I'm not trying to say, oh, yeah, see, I can still do that. Everything is awesome. I'm still a man. I can still eat like a man. But previously, whatever I was eating would easily go through 2, probably 3 bowls of that, like the same size bowl. And then, have other stuff on the side, and then a couple of hours later have some more stuff. But although that isn't great, still having a giant heaping bowl of something, the only thing that was in it was 1 chicken breast, and then the rest of it was filled up with broccoli and onions. That was it. No, sorry, I lied. I cooked it with, I was going to say mayonnaise. No, margarine. I did put in a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons or whatever it is, like a teaspoonful of margarine, just to cook everything up at the same time. So that's what I had. So it was a chicken breast, and then like heaping amount, like 2 full onions, and then like half a bag, like 2 cups of broccoli. So yeah, it's quite a bit of food. So I mean, the volume is still there. I still have that issue from time to time when I'm just like, more, it's too much. But doing that with broccoli and onions and boiled chicken breast, well, no, we'll say fried because I did still use margarine. So doing it that way, although it's not good and it's still not something that I should be proud of, it's still better than doing that with, a bowl of pretty much anything. That I would have done before, or that we would have used before. I was going to say nachos, but you don't really have a bowl of nachos, do you? Although, you know what? I have at one point run out of nacho chips, and I still had salsa, still had cheese, and I have a bowl. That's all it takes. Dump in the cheese, dump in the salsa, mix everything in, melt it, and just sit there and eat a bowl of cheesy salsa. Which sounds so gross when I say that. And I understand that saying, oh, well, I'm not eating that way anymore. It's kind of like saying, oh, hey, you know what? I've stopped beating my kids. It's like, well, you're not supposed to eat that way. It's not something that I should be really sort of cheering on or be proud of, but for me, it's something that, I've eaten that way my entire life, and the fact that we're able to change that, no matter how long it took, is an accomplishment. It's something that I'm very glad that we got to do by the end of this year. And overall, I think that we've come very, very far when it comes to food. We can sort of fight back the cravings a little bit better. We still have them from time to time. You're still going to want chocolate and candy and salty stuff, but we can say no, and we can sort of stick by it much easier than we ever could before. A year ago, we certainly would not have had this control. And just knowing where it comes from, being able to recognize right away, you know what, I'm not hungry, I'm bored, or I'm not hungry, I'm depressed, or I'm not hungry, I'm sleepy. Whatever it is that we always just sort of substituted, okay, well, I'm hungry now. That has helped a lot as well. And, for the most part, for most of us, I think, that food was really the only comfort that we did have. So, of course, we're going to sort of latch onto that. And it's very difficult. I think I may have said this before. It's like going back to an ex. That it's not because it's good or bad. It's just because it's familiar. So, of course, you want to sort of keep going back to that. But I think the fact that we can recognize where these things are coming from helps us sort of push it out of the way and get past it the way that we need to. And for a lot of us, we have comfort in other ways now because we've sort of forced ourselves to get away from that, just depending on only food for our comfort. It doesn't matter what else it is. And food will always be there. Food, like all food is comfort food. I've said that so many times before. There is still going to be comfort food for us. That's never going to go away. We're still, we have eating issues. We always will. We can consciously make the decision, though, to not really ignore them, but to go against them. And so I think that's where the difference lies. A year ago, I don't think we would have been able to. Obviously we could. If we said, no, I'm not going to have that piece of cake, we could do it if we really put our minds to it. But let's face it. Let's be honest. We have tried so many times before, and we've inevitably I don't know where that word came from. Inevitably, we have failed time and time again. And so we can say, well, no, I just can't help myself, or I don't have the willpower, or it's too hard, or whatever it is. But at this stage, we can look back on that and say, you know what, I could probably do that now. We have done it. I know that some of you have done this at some point where they've brought out something at work or a party or something like that, and you go, I really do kind of want some, but I'm doing really well. Not that I'm going to sit and mope and go, oh, I can't have any. But I won't have any. And there's a big difference between the two, where we can make that decision to say, yeah, I'm just going to keep on the way I'm going. And plan out ahead and say, 10 pounds from now, then yes, I'll have a piece of cake. Which I've been saying for a very long time. Just saying, at this milestone, I'm going to do this, and this milestone, I'm going to do that. And I never seem to do it. I keep saying I'm going to go on this binge, but I think it's... It's to a point now I'm kind of scared to, because I don't know if it's just a matter of, okay, well, I've started eating this. I'm just not going to stop until the army is called in and they're shooting at me from helicopters and everything else. I'm on top of a building with a cupcake just swinging at people. There's that aspect of it that I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want to do it. But on the other hand, of course, then there have been a couple of days when I still had junk food, which I really shouldn't have, because then I'm like, God damn it. I should be doing much better than this in general. But I think those are still going to be there. We're always going to have those days when we slip. We have our junk food. We're going to have days when we eat too much, like I did last night. And although it's still way better to overeat the amount that I did on vegetables, I'm still overeating. So it's still something that I need to work on. But we sort of knew that it wasn't going to be at the end of this year that all our problems were going to be solved and we were going to be eating like normal people again. We were going to be one of those people that's like, oh, food is just fuel. Like, fuck off. It's not. I still enjoy food a little too much. I know that, but I come from a much better place now, which sounds really weird. Let me try to rephrase that. I still enjoy food. I still have the same cravings. I still, there are things I haven't had in a year. Like, I don't know if I had ribs like months and months and months ago. I think I may have at one point. But like nachos, and I have had pizza a couple times and just felt like shit afterwards, both times. But throughout the year, I mean, I've sort of slid here and there and had some what I would classify as junk food, which is my regular food. But there's a big difference between having something like that once every 3 or 4 months rather than having 6 times as much as you need every single day, day in, day out, nonstop. And as I say, a lot of that comes from, that was our only comfort at the time. And we tried to distance ourselves from that and educate ourselves and learn a little bit more about where it comes from and make the changes that we need to make. And it's getting easier and easier to find that comfort other places. Or even just to a point where you're like, you know what, the only comfort I'm going to have right now is from eating a bag of marshmallows, but it's not worth it to me. I'm not going to go that far, and I'll just deal with, fine, I'll deal with the stress, or I'll deal with the sadness or loneliness or whatever it is that triggers you. Just think that we're much better equipped to handle this now over the course of this year. So I know we sort of looked at the little things that just little successes here and there, but I really think that this is something that we sort of set out to do at the very beginning, that we wanted to change how we looked at food and how we reacted to it. And although it's not perfect and we aren't treating it the way that someone who's, always been a normal, healthy weight their entire life, we aren't reacting the same way that they will, but we are in a much better place now than we were a year ago. We're able to handle cravings. We're able to, make decisions based on logic and reason instead of just going, no, but it's candy. I want some. We're able to make those choices, and we've made a lot of them. We've made very, very good choices overall. We still make bad choices from time to time, but that's to be expected. And we've always been very realistic right from the day that we started doing this, that these moments are going to happen from time to time. But overall, we've done so much better. We don't automatically go for food when we're in a stressful situation. And I'm sure that at some point you've noticed that, there's been a stressful situation, or you've gotten angry or bored or tired or sleepy or sad or grumpy or happy, dopey or whatever, or doc. What's the other one? Bashful. Here we go. And some other ones. That you've gotten to that point where it was, after everything had been resolved and you realized that you didn't think of food to begin with. It wasn't even a conscious decision to say, no, I'm just taking that. I'm going for food because it's out of habit. It was after everything was all said and done and you realize, no, I normally would have had to fight that off. Those are good signs that we're getting to where we need to be. And it's always going to be a lifelong struggle, I think, at least for the next few years. I was going to say 5, but I don't want to put a time limit on it. For the next few years, I'm always going to have these problems. But we can consciously make the decision to not indulge ourselves the same way that we did before. I can still get angry, and I can still get bored, and I can still get depressed, and I can still want to go and buy, 3 blocks of cheese. But I'm at a stage now where I can say, no, I obviously cannot do that. That's stupid. I've come too far to just say, screw it, go back, and then start gaining all the weight back again. I want to keep going. I want to keep losing. I want to, get to the weight that I want to get to, and then start exercising more so I can, get rid of all the extra little bits that are going to be floating around and flopping around as well. So I just think that although we may not have reached our goal, I haven't reached a weight goal. I haven't really reached a psychological goal or an emotional goal or even just a plain physical goal. But when I look back at the progress that we've made over the year, it's amazing how far we've come, because it's so different than what it was. And because a year ago, we knew there was an issue. We knew that what we were doing was wrong, that it was, we were killing too many people. We were burning down houses. We knew that how we were eating and what we were eating was bad for us. We knew what we needed to do to change. And just trying to get ourselves off our ass to do that. We've tried so many times before, but looking at where we are right now and looking back at that and saying, okay, we took that step and we started slowly working towards it. We've made a tremendous amount of progress over the year, and we are going to have to keep on going. For me, I think it's going to be forever. And I don't think it's ever going to get to a point where I'm just eating normally like a normal person. There's always going to be some conscious effort involved with it for me to say, no, this is enough. I don't need 2 bowls of that, and just sort of gauging that properly. But I feel much better equipped to handle it now than I did a year ago. And I think that all of us are at this stage. Part of that is because we've taken it so slow and we've made those little tiny changes here and there. But also, like we talked about yesterday, we've had a really good support system. We've had people that we can go and talk to, and so that we can sort of share things back and forth. And that's helped keep us on track, so that even when we do stumble and we sort of backslide and come back and go, well, I had 2 days where I went over and I ate stuff I shouldn't have or anything, and, whatever it is, they were always still there to say, okay, well, that's fine. You fucked up, but keep on going. Like, we have a year to do this. And I think that helped as well, not having, okay, well, we need to lose 20 pounds in 30 days or something like that, where it was just, we're going to start losing weight when we can, see how far we can get in a year. But the psychological aspect of, changing how we respond to food in general, just changing how it's involved in our lives, I think was a big focus on this. And I think that that didn't make any sense either. I think it was something that we were focused on quite intently. There we go. That sounds better. I don't know why that other one came out sounding weird like that. But I'm glad that we've been able to sort of, at the very beginning, to start admitting that and saying, this is what we need to look at, because this is obviously the root of our problem. We respond poorly around food. Like, other people simply don't do this. They don't go, oh, I'm scared, time to eat, 18 donuts. So being able to sort of look at how we react to it, what the root causes are and everything else, I think it has helped. And as I say, although I don't think it's perfect, I don't think we're cured, we're undergoing treatment is probably the best way to put it. And we can sort of fight those off a little bit better. And just knowing where it comes from, being able to reason it out, sometimes is enough to say, okay, well, you know what? I don't need that right now. There are some things that are always going to come up. Obviously, for me, overeating is going to be one of them. You're still going to have cravings once in a while. You're still going to slip up and say, I shouldn't have eaten that bag of Swedish fish, which I did on the weekend. It's in my diary, though. It's okay. It's still there. Don't worry. I still didn't go over. No, that day I did. That was bad. So anyway, which is really, really bad. I shouldn't be doing this on the very last week, going, okay, well, you went over 2 days the week before, and then this week. I want to end this week by saying I still lost weight this week. And that's the main thing. Overall, though, long-term goals. Over the course of the year, we have lost weight. We have improved how we respond to food. We've improved how we react just to, our emotional state when it comes to it. We aren't going for it for the first and, most important thing in the world every single time. We've become more active. I mean, the sheer number of changes that we've done, no matter how small they are, they've built up and built up and built up. And we're different people than we were a year ago, physically and emotionally and psychologically and everything else. So I think that this has been very cathartic this year. And part of me is still scared that when it's over and done, I'm just going to go, good. Nom, 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 just start eating everything. So I am going to keep updating everything. I want to keep sort of at least week to week. I was going to say, I was going to do every milestone, but then every 2 weeks. I'm like, no, I think a weekly thing is still good. So that we'll just sort of continue on where we're going. It'll be a lot less frequent, but at least that way I still have that accountability. I'll still be able to sort of report in and say, well, here's where I am this week, and I lost, or I gained, or I plateaued, or all the other stuff. Plus, it's going to keep me from going, well, the answer didn't but I want, which I shouldn't be doing. So, but that is down the road a little ways. For right now, this is going on far, far too long. All of these are going to be very long because they're all tearful goodbyes all the way around. But for right now, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, you have warm and fuzzy, and I'll see you in the next video.